Greetings, everybody. Good afternoon on this sunny day on Monday. January, I don't remember the fucking date. But yeah, this is the Lorax Podcast. We're finally back. We've had a long time out. I know it's been a minute. It's been a difficult grind. I ain't gonna lie. But listen. We're fucking back, yo. We are fucking back. And man, this episode is not gonna be any fighters coming on to the podcast. We are gonna try getting some fighters on the podcast this weekend, before this weekend. But this podcast is going to be more of a recap of 2022, because obviously 2022 is wrapped, and we had our first event, 2023, which is crazy. Twisted Wolf winning both his fights, making the comeback, but we're going to review 2022 and reveal some craziness that happened. I mean, absolute madness. We're going to open up the year. 3 crazy events. We had KSI versus Jay. I mean, this one was just KSI embarrassing Jay. It was a dominant performance. Jay did redeem himself later on that the year, but KSI really did make a statement with that win, especially after being out of the ring for so long. So, good performance on him for getting that victory over Jay. Then we have another fight. Ken versus Jorge Masvidal. Top 10 light heavyweights, putting their record on the line. Ken put his undefeated record on the line. He lost it. He got dominated by Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal went out there. He put on his show. Him and Colby Covington got into an altercation, and they were scheduled to fight 2 months later. Then we had the first championship fight of the year. Bowser versus Sage 2. A highly anticipated rematch. Their first fight. Sage was winning most of that match, but Bowser was able to come back and get the finish. Good fight. That was an amazing fight of 2020. They fought. Bowser won this again. It went all 12 rounds this time with the full distance. But Bowser outboxed Sage to get the victory. Great fight that was. Then to end off January of 2022, Daffy Duck returns against the undefeated Gorilla Johnny. And that was a dominant performance by Gorilla Johnny, embarrassing him for the whole fight. And now that made Gorilla Johnny a true contender in the heavyweight division. A lot of people did believe Gorilla Johnny was a threat, but after the way Gorilla Johnny manhandled Daffy Duck for 12 rounds, then we knew he was a legitimate threat to Bowser. And then we go into February. Kamaru Usman versus Lefty, the opening fight of February. Amazing fight. Back and forth battle. Usman, too strong, finished Lefty off in round number 12. It was a great scrap, nonetheless. Mickey Mouse versus Colby Covington, the next fight after that. Covington dominated him. It was domination. He made it look easy out there. He finished him in like 7 rounds. Great performance by Colby Covington. Mickey Mouse did show some toughness. Great fight on both guys' hands. Now, then we have February 19th, a great matchup between Shadow the Hedgehog and Freddy. It was a back and forth fight, another crazy slugfest. But Freddy gets the unanimous decision, outboxing Shadow the Hedgehog. Good performance by both men. February 26th, Doge. We seem like it's all game over, but Doge makes a serious redemption in 2022. Getting a unanimous decision win over Shazam, back and forth battle. I mean, we had some crazy fights in February. That's for sure. We only had one event in March, but we actually had 2. One, like on post boxing wise. Sage and Sonic, an anticipated grudge match. 2 guys who hated each other. Sage dominated the match. We also had in the UFC, which was canon to this universe, Colby Covington versus Jorge Masvidal. Another long-awaited grudge match. And that was a dominant performance by Colby Covington, outworking Masvidal in that whole match. Amazing. Then we come back for April. One of the biggest fights of the year. The light heavyweight title is on the line. Donkey Kong defends his belt against Kamaru Usman. Kamaru Usman wins, but it was an absolute barn burner. I think it won fight of the year. That one of Bowser vs. Gorilla Johnny. But man, Kamaru Usman had to grind for that victory. Great fight by both men. Those 2 I definitely want to see fight again. Crazy fight. That was amazing. And they still can't stand each other. Then after that, we had a crazy light heavyweight matchup. Spider-Man versus Ryu, a title limiter to fight the one Don Conan Usman. And that was Usman. So then Ryu and Spider-Man, a crazy fight. Spider-Man was winning, but Ryu fights to the jaws of defeat to knock Spider-Man out. Amazing fight. And then Usman and Ryu had a bit of a face-off. No animosity between those two. They actually had a lot of respect for one another. But Usman said he was too much for him. But we move. Then we go into May. Another huge fight. Another fight of the year contender. The rematch. Bowser Jr. and Twisted Wolf. The rematch was absolute madness. Twisted Wolf put up a much better fight this time around, hurting Bowser Jr. He even dropped him 2 times, but Bowser Jr. overcome the adversity and got the KO in round 11, but it was no easy task. Then we go 2 weeks later, May 21st, another anticipated matchup, Mega Man versus Deadpool. That was a fight we were supposed to happen in 2021, but it got canceled due to Deadpool being injured. Mega Man and Deadpool go to war for 12 rounds. I mean, a bunch of fight of the years. Mega Man and Deadpool, but Mega Man slightly edges the unanimous decision. Amazing fight. Then we go into May 28th. A heavyweight championship is once again on the line. The Unified. Bowser versus Mario. Mario the interim champion. Bowser the defending champion. Back and forth fight, but Bowser got the better of Mario as the fight went on. And my oh my, it was a great performance by Bowser. Bowser really solidified himself by finishing off Mario in round number 11. Amazing fight. Then we go June at no events. Then we return in July. Jorge Masvidal returns against Shadow the Hedgehog in a competitive but clear fight for Jorge Masvidal, winning the unanimous decision. Masvidal stayed on his A game, and he outboxed Shadow the Hedgehog. Great performance by Masvidal in that matchup. Then we go to July 16th, a highly anticipated rematch. Toad versus Plankton 2. Another fight we've wanted to see for a very long time. Toad was doing good work, but Plankton fights through the fire and gets Toad out of there, pulling an upset in round number 2, knocking him out. Insane. Fucking insane. Plankton knocking out Toad is actually one of the craziest things I ever witnessed. But then, July 23rd, a huge, crazy light heavyweight matchup. Lefty versus Mickey Mouse. Both coming off losses. And they put it on the line to make a redemption in a back and forth slugfest. Mickey Mouse having the better edge in the beginning, but Lefty grinding through and getting the TKO in the last round. Amazing scrap that was. Then we go to July 30th, the light heavyweight championship once again on the line. Kamaru Usman makes his first defense of the title against Ryu in dominant fashion. Kamaru Usman finishes him off. Great performance by Kamaru Usman, just making a statement and dominating him. Now we go into August. August 6th, a huge trilogy, a competitive chess match. Mario versus Daffy Duck Part 3. A crazy fight. A trilogy no one was expecting but got made. Mario outboxed Daffy, winning the point fight by decision. Competitive matchup for sure. Then we have August 13th, the heavyweight championship. Once again on the line. Bowser versus Batman. 2 undefeated veterans. Bowser dominated him. Pure domination by the champ, Bowser, making a statement in that fight. Then he calls out Gorilla Johnny. Then we go into August 20th. We had some crazy action. Okay? Crazy fucking action. We had first, the heavyweight division. Conor McGregor versus Luigi. Dogfight. But Luigi gets the job done. We also had the UFC Welterweight Championship. Also the Light Heavyweight Championship. Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards 2. One of the craziest upsets of 2022. Leon Edwards gets the knockout in the jaws of defeat, finishing off Kamaru Usman. Those two are destined to fight again. Crazy. Then we have August 27th. A lot of things happen on this date. Purple Foxy versus Doug. Doug continuing his undefeated year in 2022, making a huge redemption, finishing on Purple Foxy. And he had to grind to get that victory over Purple Foxy. We also had the YouTube event, KSI versus Swarms. I mean, what can I say about this one? People do discredit it due to being a YouTuber event, but I won't give it its credit. It was a great event. There was a bunch of chaos happening. KSI had 2 fights in one night against Swarm and Luis Pineda, who should never box again, by the way, because that was embarrassing. But yeah, Swarms got finished, but respect to him for showing up on 2 weeks' notice and finishing him and fighting, surviving to round 2 against KSI. We also had Slim on that card. Deji finally gets his first win. Absolute madness. Fucking miracle. Deji gets his first fucking win against Fuzi. But still a great win for Deji. He made a statement. He was the underdog going into that match. But, I have to say, man, Deji really did make a statement with that fight. Domination by Deji. And then we go on to September. Donkey Kong returns, fighting a non-title fight for the first time since 2020. Absolute madness. 2021, actually, February. But yes, he takes on Spider-Man and gets a redemption after his defeat to Usman. What a performance in that fight. Donkey Kong dominates Spider-Man. Domination at its finest in that matchup. Fucking insanity. And then we go on. We go to September 10th. Bruce Lee returns against Shazam. And this one was just pure destruction. I mean, brother, Bruce Lee made him look like an amateur. 4-round murder. Destruction by Bruce Lee in that matchup. Shazam always showed that toughness. But he just wasn't there in that night against Bruce Lee. And he just got outworked. Madness. Then we come back September 24th. Sheldon makes his return to the ring against Black Panther. Madness. Sheldon was the betting favorite, knowing his wars at Bowser and beating guys like Mario and Sonic. He was destined to win that, but Black Panther gets him out of there in 6 fucking rounds. That is insane. Black Panther finishes off Sheldon in round number 6. Then we go on to the next week. Shadow the Hedgehog takes on the Devil, and the Devil gets the victory. He finishes off Shadow in round number 5. Pretty dominant performance. The Devil was just too much for Shadow that night, and he finished him off. And then coming up after that, October 8th, a massive cruiserweight fight. Bonnie versus Cuphead. Madness this fight was. Madness. One of the fights of the year for sure. Bonnie and Cuphead went to war. 8 rounds of non-stop chaos. But Bonnie gets the split decision. It was a very controversial decision. There is a mixture of people that believe Cuphead did enough to get the win. But Bonnie got it done, no matter what. Then we go on to the next event, a lightweight fight. Cartman versus Patrick. And then we also had the next Misfits event as well on the same day. Patrick dominating Cartman. Cartman did have his moments in the middle, but Patrick flew out through the fire and dominated the rest of the fight. Pretty clear win for Patrick's star. And I heard Patrick is trying to get a huge fight next, so I'm very intrigued to see what happens there. What else is happening? Oh yeah, after that. So basically now we have shit. Let me just think for a second here. Oh yeah. Then after that we had Misfits. Jay Swingler versus Shirley's. Nothing really crazy to say for this one. But Jay Swingler beat him in 1 round. Slim also on the co-main event, fighting Ryan Taylor. So good performance by Slim. He beat him on points. Then we go on to next week. One of the biggest fights of the year and another fight of the year contender. Sonic versus Twisted Wolf. Build-up was madness. These two were non-stop beefing at the press conferences. A lot of altercations, a lot of fighting. They wanted to get in there, and they did, and went all 12 rounds in an absolute slugfest. Sonic gets it by split decision, but it was very controversial. Very, very controversial. A lot of people believe Twisted Wolf won that fight. Sonic also got a lot of hate at the press conference. He still is getting a lot of hate after that fight. Remember, people, it's not the fighter's fault for the decision, it's the judges. Just remember that. Fans don't seem to understand that. Okay, continuing on. Then October 29th, Stewie versus Brandon Moreno, an extremely good fight. One of the more underrated fights of the year. Brandon Moreno outboxing Stewie, getting the fight on points. We also had Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva, a highly anticipated matchup. People have wanted to see that fight since 2021. It happened. The problem child gets it done once again, outboxing the legend by unanimous decision. What can I say? Jake Paul might be the real deal. He is taking on Nate Diaz in 2 weeks, so we're curious to see how that fight goes down. Now, we go into November. One of the biggest fights of the year, a championship match. Bowser Jr. versus Mega Man. Two experienced, undefeated veterans fight in the ring. Mega Man and Bowser Jr., very close matchup, but Bowser Jr. still remains the champion in a very close matchup. Then we go on to November 12th, and this is one of the craziest nights ever. Madison Square Garden was on fire. Lefty versus Freddy. And not yet, UFC 281, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira on the same night in the same area. Crazy, isn't it? Lefty and Freddy, all the distance. They go all 10 rounds. Amazing match. Back and forth. Freddy showed a next level that we didn't think he could make it to. And he lost, but barely. Lefty ended the fight on points. Wow, what a fight that was. But then we go into Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. And this was another crazy fight. Israel Adesanya was doing really well. He was winning the majority of the match. But Alex Pereira gets him out of there in round 5. And now he takes on Purple Foxy. Because it was agreed that Purple Foxy would get the winner of that matchup. And the winner was Alex Pereira. And now they're making that fight happen in February. Crazy, isn't it? Then we go on. November 13th. A YouTuber exhibition. Floyd Money Mayweather takes on Deji. I really don't know what to say. That was kind of like a circus. I mean, you had Tommy Fury and Jake Paul getting into altercations. You had, like, Deji. Andrew Tate was in the building, just playing chess. It was all a bunch of chaos happening. KSI and Tyron Woodley got into an altercation. I mean, those two were destined to fight, but that didn't come to proportion. And that was, but yeah, craziness. You know, Fury, I don't even know what to say about Tommy Fury at this point. But yeah, good on him, I guess. Floyd Mayweather just dominated Deji. I mean, what did you people expect? Did people actually think Deji actually was going to stand a chance? It's Floyd fucking Mayweather. I don't care if he's almost 50 years old. He's Floyd Mayweather. And it's Deji. So, I mean, just come on now. But yeah, respect to Deji for taking the challenge, but he was not beating Floyd Mayweather. It was just plain and simple. But now, after all that shit, we go on to the next week. We have a Misfits event. And one of the biggest fighters currently, Johnny the Devil, returns to the ring against Deadpool. We're going to talk about Johnny vs. Deadpool first. Wow, one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. Another fight of the year contender. There was a lot of wars this year. A lot of them. Johnny, outworking Deadpool, gets the job done. But my oh my, no shame by Deadpool for stepping into that challenge and going 10 grueling rounds with Johnny. And Johnny's cardio was better than we thought. But then we talk about the Misfits event. Dean the Great versus Waleed Sharks. One of the most underrated fights of the year. That one, and they're YouTubers, and they actually look they could box. They were actually fighting. That Waleed kid. That Waleed Sharks dude's a savage. I want to see him fight again for sure. That dude is a savage. He was winning most of that fight, but Dean the Great is a dog, making that comeback and getting the win. Insane. I mean, there wasn't really many knowledgeable fighters on that card, really. But KSI and Dylan Dennis got into a bit of a scuffle. They were scheduled to fight, but that got canceled. Dylan Dennis pulled out of the fight. I mean, it's Dylan Dennis. I don't really know what to say about that. Like, I try to remain unbiased, but, like, Dylan Dennis, the dude's making a fool out of himself, to be brutally honest. But look, Dylan Dennis is doing his thing. Just don't talk as much shit and you won't get as much hate. But that's just Dylan Dennis. What can you expect? But then we go on to the next week, November 26th. Jay versus Swarms. Actually an underrated fight, but Jay dominated him for 8 rounds. Jay actually looked pretty good in there. He made some good improvements, and he actually showed some solid improvements. And he got the job done. He got his first win in his career. Jay did do a good performance. Nothing really else to say about that. I mean, the event was kind of dead. I will be dead ass honest. But then we go to December. December is wild. There's a lot of shit going on in December. We're in fight month. Bowser and Gorilla Johnny about to fight soon at this timing. Mario makes a return to the ring. Daffy Duck and Batman is the next event, though. December 3rd. This was a good matchup. Daffy Duck and Batman go all 8 rounds, but Daffy Duck gets his redemption after losing 2 fights last year, beating Batman on points. Batman definitely showed toughness, though. He's a great fighter. 2 beasts in the game. Then we come to the infamous fight of the year. Bowser versus Gorilla Johnny. And may I say, one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. They did not disappoint. The build-up was insane. The press conferences and press tours. They had multiple face-to-faces. Bunch of scuffles. The build-up for this fight was legendary. They hated each other, and they still do, because they fought to a draw. Believe it or not, Bowser and Gorilla Johnny go to a draw. Madness. Fucking madness. They go to a draw, and it's unreal. Fucking insanity. Bowser and Gorilla Johnny, all 12 rounds. Those two are destined to fight again in 2023, and I am all in for it. And then, the closing event of 2022, Mario versus Sage. Mario and Sage. Sage makes the return after a long layoff. Mario and Sage go all 8 rounds in a dogfight, but Sage gets the win. No, but Mario gets the win. My fault. Mario gets the victory over Sage. We also had a UFC Fight Night event. Jared Cannonier versus Sean Strickland. Controversial fight for sure. Close matchup. Jared Cannonier wins by split decision. I also actually just missed a fight. Adesanya and Cannonier in July 2nd. UFC 276. My apologies on that one. I might have missed some other ones, but... Oh yeah, I missed Deji versus Alex Wasabi. That was another fight that I missed. Alex Wasabi won that fight. I mean, there really isn't anything to talk about in those fights. Sean Strickland got knocked out by Alex Pereira on the UFC thing, so that makes Pereira look even better, let alone for beating Adesanya 3 fucking times. Like, I mean, who beat Adesanya 3 times, let alone once? I mean, who beat Adesanya in general, let alone 3 fucking times? Like, yeah, Jan Blachowicz beat him. But, like, this guy beat him 3 times. 3 times. And they might fight again. They might beat him a 4th time. But you know what? Fucking hell. Absolute madness. And, I mean, what a year 2022 was. Crazy fights, a comeback after a mediocre 2021, to be brutally honest. But now, before we end off this episode, I will say there's a lot of crazy things coming up in 2023. A lot of events have been confirmed. We had Twister Wolf versus Pichu and Bonnie. Great fight. Twister Wolf got the win in both events, in both fights. We have this weekend Colby Chaos Covington versus Dustin Poirier, January 14th. Also, KSI fights FaZe Temper. Interesting. On January 14th, with guys like Slim coming back and Swarms. Swarms is looking in incredible shape. That man's been grinding recently. That motherfucker has been grinding. Nothing but respect to Swarms. He is genuinely committing himself into the game. He's risking a lot. And he's going in there to win. And I'm very intrigued to see him fight Ryan Taylor. That is going to be insane. The Anthony Taylor is also a pretty good fighter. That means making improvements and moves. But listen. Oh, yeah. Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. Jake Paul puts undefeated record on the line against Nathan Diaz, a veteran in the game. I'm very intrigued. January 28th, a massive fight coming up. Luigi versus Sheldon. That fight's going to be insanity. I cannot fucking wait for that one. February has some events coming up itself. We have Kyle versus Killmonger, a lightweight matchup. Nothing crazy about that one, but it's going to be a good matchup. February 11th, Alex Pereira takes on Purple Foxy. And Purple Foxy withstands the power of Poitin. Or Pereira catch another victim on February the 11th. February 18th, the anticipated trilogy between Toad and Plankton takes place. Crazy fight that's going to be. February 25th, Doug versus Bruce Lee. Craziness. And then March, we have some crazy fights. We have Donkey Kong versus Lefty coming up. Then we have, who else? Sonic versus Black Panther. Let me say that again. Sonic versus Black Panther. That's going to be insanity. And then we have Bowser Jr. versus Bluegie. Also, I will confirm that Ken versus the Devil is now official for March 25th. April is yet to have any events confirmed. But yes, that is all. It's been incredible. Thank you guys for watching this podcast. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.